Welcome to Infinity and Beyond, the Pixar Retrospective podcast. I'm Jaron Gravely, and this is.
Daniel Hudson.
And today, this being our third episode, we're going to discuss Pixar's third film, which is the second film of a particular series. It is Toy Story 2 we're talking about today.
The second one.
The second one.
Toy Story 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Broken arm Boogaloo.
I mean, I feel like they could have given this like a subtitle if they wanted.
If they wanted, but I don't really know what it would be. Like, two times the toys, two times the laughs.
Yeah, Pixar in general just doesn't seem comfortable with subtitles for their sequels.
Well, I enjoy a good this movie title 2 or 3 instead of like the Marvel movies don't really bother with like numerals, do they? Except for Iron Man
and apparently Black Panther, maybe.
I don't know. I feel like they'll call it something else. But we're getting off topic today. We're going already. So let's jump right in. Let's just jump right into it.
Jump into it
and get to the plot. So we pick up an undisclosed amount of time later after the first film. Andy is a couple years older now, and he's settled into that new house he and his family moved into after the first one. And
everything's looking like it's going okay. They're getting ready for cowboy camp. Going to be gone for a week, which is, got Woody all in a knot. Everything's ready. And, a little rough playtime later, and Woody's arm gets destroyed.
Well, slightly torn in the beginning.
Yeah, but he can't even, move it.
That's true, yeah.
Might as well, sever tendons.
Yeah, which we'll get to later when we discuss what the rules are for toys losing parts.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that could be an interesting discussion. Anyway, Andy has to go on to cowboy camp without him. And then the yard sale happens.
The yard sale.
Where Wheezy the penguin gets taken to.
Yes, beloved character from the first film, Wheezy, who definitely did just appear for this movie.
Well, one of my favorite tropes on TV tropes is called "Remember the New Guy."
Yeah,
where a character shows up in a sequel and he's supposed to have been there the whole time, or in season 2 or something, a character shows up and everyone knows who it is, but we don't know who it is.
It's like that whole Rick and Morty episode.
Oh, yeah, that one. I've never seen a full episode of Rick and Morty, but I know the one you're talking about with all the random characters. Anyway, Woody hatches a dangerous plot to rescue Wheezy. Then
he ends up getting stolen by
the Chicken Man.
The Chicken Man. I'm only going to call him the Chicken Man through this whole thing. That's all he deserves.
That's all he deserves.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bastard.
he's a big chicken.
Yeah. So Woody gets taken by him and is being planned to be sold to Japan.
Glorious Nihon. Toy museum, and while he is held captive by the Chicken Man, he encounters his old co-stars, because he finds out he's the main character from a famous TV show from the 50s.
Roundup.
It has a theme song and merchandise and a yo-yo.
He's got a yo-yo.
Yep.
We'll have to talk about all of the Woody merchandise later, because I have one in particular that's my favorite.
Yeah, I do as well. They all look really cool anyway.
Yeah.
And so a conflict ensues about whether you need to let go and move on, or begin anew, or enjoy what you have while it lasts.
Yep. It's basically a question of um, immortality versus mortality.
That's a
Like
good way of seeing it, I think.
like is life going to be meaningful because of the experiences you get out of it, or because of how much time you can, exist and what kind of legacy you leave?
Yeah. But yeah, do you want to dive into the characters now?
Yeah. So I'm just looking through my notes to make sure I have like any like specific character stuff, and I know I definitely do. Uh, okay, so probably like the big character thing we should talk about is this like begins the trend of Woody and Buzz being separated.
Yeah. After the first movie was like a buddy movie, you know, the two guys going out in the world. They might be a little different, but they have to learn to work together and become friends.
Yeah,
This
this
one, they do an Empire Strikes Back. You know what I mean?
yeah, separate the cast and everything,
Yeah.
and I think that was kind of good for Buzz because so much of his character in the first movie is him thinking he's a toy, so now we really get to establish like his long-term personality,
Yeah. Yeah.
which the first movie didn't really get a chance to do.
Yeah, I think he becomes something of a stronger leader, basically leading the others on the rescue mission.
Oh yeah. And I think so I have a theory about why Woody and Buzz keep getting split up so much in these films.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to hear it.
Oh, go ahead.
It basically comes down to their designs. So
Yeah.
so I don't know how much you know about color theory, and I sound pretentious just saying that.
I do a little bit.
But basically, like when you're designing characters, especially in animation, the color is going to be like a big thing. And Woody is made of mostly primary colors. He's got the yellow and
Yellow,
red
blue.
stripes, blue jeans, and Buzz. In order to contrast the two of them, especially in the first film, he's got like secondary colors, purple and green, and so that's a really good
Yeah.
clashing colors. But maybe it's just a case of they're not they're not really colors meant to be paired together almost.
I see.
And so maybe that doesn't like explain everything, but that might be like part of the reason why they're separated so much in these films.
I like the idea. Of course, we see them in other like spin-off media working closer together, which we'll get to a certain piece of spin-off media in a little bit,
Oh yeah.
which is what we're going to call Toy Story 2.5 HD remix. Any,
So,
anyway, back to the characters.
yeah.
So we have our returning main characters from the first film who have grown in their own ways.
Yeah, you got Ham, you got Mr. Potato Head, you have Wheezy, all those wonderful faces. I'm not letting this go.
I mean, he might have been. I don't know. Andy could have gotten Wheezy between 1 and 2.
Oh, absolutely. Like that has to be what happened.
Yeah,
Or maybe Wheezy was a toy that was left behind in their new house.
I kind of like that idea actually.
Maybe.
Never thought about that because we don't really, we don't see him get any new toys between 1 and 2. It's the ones he had at the end of 1.
Pretty much. So,
But anyway, back to the characters.
yeah, I think everybody really benefits from the whole splitting up plot because we really get to have more Slinky, more Ham, more Mr. Potato Head.
Rex.
Oh, and Rex, yeah. There were so many good Rex jokes in this movie. I don't want to use my head. It's like
That's yeah.
it's probably my
Wait,
top 5 Pixar jokes right now.
the yeah, I love how it smash cuts.
Yes, absolutely.
One thing I want to talk about is the visual humor in this movie
It's
because there's a lot of it.
yeah, but let's knock out characters first.
Yeah.
In terms of new characters, There's a bunch on Woody's side of the story, but let's knock out the one or two on Buzz's side real quick.
Yeah, we have
The new Buzz
the
Lightyear.
new Buzz Lightyear with the cool utility belt.
Oh yeah, that definitely absolutely changes gravity.
Oh, I love how our Buzz tries to steal it.
Yeah,
He just like looks over his shoulder, tries to
I mean,
snatch it.
I like that Buzz can be like a little vain, that he can be tempted by, material things.
Yeah,
At first, when they were like in the toy barn, because I didn't remember that section of the film too well, I thought, oh, it's going to be a scenario where everybody's tempted by something in here, because Rex like runs for the video game book and Buzz kind of like goes for the belt.
yeah.
I guess
I don't,
Ham and Mr. Potato Head were tempted by like the car or the Barbies or something,
well,
but
yeah, because Potato Head's like, I'm a married spud. I'm a married spud.
oh yeah, Mrs. Potato Head makes her debut in this film.
Yep, that's one of the other new characters.
She really
She
gets
doesn't.
to do in the third though.
Yeah, well,
She
she's
kind
like integral to the plot in the third one.
oh yeah, but she kind of gets relegated to a Bo Peep role,
Yeah.
staying home.
Well, the joke about the angry eyes is really funny.
Yeah, and they really go all out with it in the blooper credits too.
They do. um,
Which
but
again, blooper credits, a very '90s thing to do, just like last week's film.
yeah, it is. But we'll get to that later. We have our first Pixar twist villain in this one.
Yes, which began a glorious trend that really should die by now.
Well, it mostly transplanted over into Disney animation studio films. That was his mistake.
Well, I mean, Pixar still does them. I mean, Coco, Incredibles 2.
Oh, they do. Yeah, that's right.
Like,
Anyway, let's talk about our. Huh?
Yeah, well, let's talk about the gang over there. And since we're already on twist villains,
Yeah.
like, I have grown annoyed with this trope, I will admit. And I mean, maybe that made it not as fun in this movie to have and just the twist villain again, because Prospector's personality is kept very, very light, because and like you notice that upon a rewatch, because like wow, he doesn't really do much besides manipulate Woody once you realize that's what he's doing it for.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves with the other films. Lotso from Toy Story 3 is kind of like the evolution
Oh yeah,
of the Prospector.
I mean there are so many similarities between Toy Story 2 and 3, but we can hit on all of those when we get to 3.
Yeah, in however many weeks.
It'll probably be in January,
I think, yeah, I looked at it, I think it's December we get into that one.
December. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, other new characters. We have arguably, like, aside from Woody and Buzz, the main character of the film in Jessie.
Oh yeah, like Jesse gets probably the biggest arc in this film. Like Woody's is probably the more complex and interesting, just because you don't really see kids' films deal with questions of immortality.
Yeah.
But like Jesse's whole, been burned before, sort of story, where she had just like an amazing relationship, very similar to what Woody and Andy have.
Yeah.
And to just have already watched that kind of dissolve and decay over time, and then just really developing trauma. A lot of like her trauma got pushed over not on Emily, but on the whole concept of being boxed up. And
yeah. I'm doing my best to not reference Steven Universe, the movie here. Because there are some thematic similarities.
Yeah, I mean, it's different enough.
It's different enough, but that song couldn't help but remind me of
Drift Away.
Yeah. No, vice versa. When I was watching Steven Universe, the movie, for the first time.
Yeah, fair enough. Because When She Loved Me was the big new song for this movie.
Yeah, there's not really any other songs in this one except for "You Got a Friend in Me,"
Yeah,
which is in all of them.
Yeah, but I mean, like I knew that moment was coming. I knew they were gonna, rip out my heart. It still got me.
Yeah, it's
It's
still a very very poignant moment.
I think for the longest time this was the most heartbreaking montage in Pixar. Just
Yeah, until a certain
until
one,
up.
which will yeah
Like uh because especially now, like I feel that more because like I had like a lot of toys when I was a kid, and now they've all been boxed away or
yeah.
donated, and it makes me feel guilty now.
Yeah, I still have a bunch of mine in like either at my grandparents' house or on a shelf. But yeah, so there. Oh, forgot about Bullseye.
Oh yeah, Bullseye. So
He don't talk.
he why doesn't he talk? I
I don't know. I think that all comes down to the lore questions.
yeah, like I'm thinking from like a constructing the film perspective. Like when they were making this film, why did they decide to have Bullseye like just be a horse that acts like a dog?
Yeah, yeah. I remember reading they wanted to act like a dog instead of a horse. Uh, yeah, if he
I mean,
talked,
the reason you make him act like a dog is because everybody loves dogs, so they're gonna
well, of
like
course.
Bullseye more if he's a dog.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the logic behind Toothless and so many other animals in animation.
you're right. Toothless runs you more of a cat, though.
Maybe by like later films, especially in the
Yeah,
movie, but in the first one, definitely more dog.
yeah.
But yeah, with Bullseye, like I don't really think him talking would add much to the film.
Not really. What would he
Maybe
say? Yeah.
like, and maybe it is just a case of Bullseye being silent was actually more efficient for the story because hey, we don't have another character to have to try to flesh out through dialogue.
Yeah. But his like facial expressions kind of tell it all.
Yeah. Which, speaking of facial expressions and just animation in general, my goodness, is this movie such a huge step up?
Yeah, from the
Like,
first
not just from the first. I think it's like a massive step up from A Bug's Life too, and that one came out only a
year.
year earlier.
Yeah.
Because like there's just so many more, like a variety of backgrounds, a lot more things are moving in the background. Like the opening scene with the Buzz video game. Like there are so many moving parts and all that.
Yeah. Well, the first film only takes place in like 4 locations.
Yeah, because easier to do, and now they just do so much more.
Yeah, it's definitely a step up. And we were talking about how the first movie still holds up today. This movie still looks really good.
Yeah, like
Even
we
the
were talking
humans.
about the first Toy Story, it's kind of like they really are benchmarks
Yeah,
because I mean, like the dog model looks so much better.
yeah.
Like compare Buster to Spud,
Oh yeah.
like,
Like looks more like a real dog instead of whatever that was.
and like Andy's character design is just a lot better.
Yeah, the humans in general look way better.
Yeah, so
It's
really,
a
it's just like amazing how much because I remember in A Bug's Life where we were talking about how there was so little like shots in the city,
mhm.
all that because all the light sources, and then you have this one where like we spend a lot of time in the toy store. We spend a lot of time like out in the street with a bunch of cars. And
Oh, the traffic cone sequence.
traffic cone sequence was just delightful.
It is. So
Ugh.
should we continue with? Well, we talked about the plot. We talked about characters. We could move on into the development, the production.
Uh, well, there were a few more scenes like in the movie I did
Oh
want.
yeah, yeah,
So the cleaning scene with Woody.
yeah,
So I love this sequence,
yeah.
but it's like it's so satisfying to watch. But,
I've seen it in like satisfying compilations.
but like I wonder what convinced them to put this in the movie because like they were like a big debate like in Pixar like should they cut the "When She Loved Me" scene because they weren't sure kids would be able to sit for so long without like jokes and other stuff. But like I wonder if there was a similar debate towards this scene because
Yeah,
like unlike the Jesse's backstory, like this isn't even trying to get you to like feel sad or feel like a really deep emotion.
yeah.
Like it feels like something that would be like in a Miyazaki movie almost.
It.
Like
I agree there. I've not thought that.
it's like there's just so much detail to the minutia, the little movements and all that. Like it really does feel like something I would see in like Castle in the Sky or something.
Yeah. The Cleaner Man is the same character model as Jerry's Game, the chess short film.
Hmm.
And when he's opening up the drawers he has, there's a drawer with chess pieces.
Oh, a little bit of calling attention to their short films.
Yep. Which we don't have the time to talk about.
Yeah, we don't. Like, I think the only character model that didn't look great in this film was probably the old man. Like, I don't know if they really got old people skin down yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
Unlike Coco, where it's like very extremely detailed.
like even the older people in like The Incredibles look better than this. So,
Yeah.
but like in Coco, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
They're just flexing at that point.
Yeah. I think when you're Pixar, you earn the right to flex a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Until you get beaten out by Sony Animation
So
in 2018.
yeah. So, how did you feel about New Buzz?
I thought it was great. I thought it was great comedy.
Yeah, I was worried it was going to get annoying because it's another one of those situations where if the characters just like stopped for a moment, they would realize what's going on.
Yeah, well, I think like Ham is like, oh, that toy aisle must have gotten to his head or something.
Yeah. I think they get away with it here because the characters are moving so fast because it is a rescue mission.
Yeah,
Like, it's not like in A Bug's Life where they have a lot of downtime. And
yeah. There's no
it
liar
just
revealed.
doesn't make sense. Whereas here, like when everybody's frantic and panicking, like then and just like constantly trying to move and get closer to Woody,
Yeah,
it's more understandable.
yeah. There's one little character detail going back to the first one. Even at the end, Buzz doesn't wear his helmet anymore. When he's just alive, he doesn't wear his helmet anymore. It
Oh yeah,
carries on into this one with the utility belt version still wearing his helmet.
yeah. I actually really appreciated that detail because when the two of them were like fighting, like it would have been really hard to tell who was our Buzz and who wasn't. But the whole
Yeah.
helmet being down thing made it much clearer. Like
So basically, like Endgame, when Steve Rogers fought himself.
basically, yeah, everybody was losing their mind over that scene. But like Toy Story showed up Endgame,
It did.
20 years before Endgame came out.
Yep. I mean, Endgame did it twice with Steve and with Nebula.
Yeah. I, I guess it's fair then that they did it more times, so maybe they're not that shown up.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Oh, we forgot a new character.
oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Zurg.
We forgot Zurg, who
Uh,
was passingly mentioned in the first one.
yeah, I'm glad they took the time to flesh out that whole thing.
Yeah. It's a
Uh,
really cool design. He's
oh
a
yeah,
cool looking character.
yeah. His scenes were fun, and they didn't really distract from the movie too much. And then, of course, the reference.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The reference.
Yeah, there were actually a lot of references, like especially during the video game sequence, there were a lot of Star Wars sound effects being used.
Yeah.
But
There's a lightsaber sound when he was touching the battery.
yeah, and the lasers, of course.
Yeah.
But this would be the reference.
Yeah. The reference. Which I thought was fine. I thought it was funny. I think you
Yeah,
could kind of get away with it before a lot of other things use that reference.
yeah. I mean, this was only 19 years after Empire had come out. But I think it was probably still a highly referenced scene even back then.
Yeah, it also makes me realize that Buzz's lore is basically a mishmash between Star Trek and Star Wars, as we discussed.
Yeah, you mentioned that the other week. Um, oh, so there was one narrative sleight of hand that really impressed me in this movie.
Yeah.
So the whole Chicken Man's apartment being right next to the toy barn,
Uh huh.
like that is a massive convenience for the plot.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like a contrivance at all because of the way they set it up.
Hmm.
Because when they first do it, it's a joke. Oh, I can't believe I have to drive all the way to work on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And like that sets it up so early in the movie that you think it's just a joke. But then later, when Buzz loses everybody at the toy barn, and he's like, "Oh no, I'll never get him," and then he sees that they're right down the road.
Yeah.
Like if that had been the only instance, and they had cut out the joke from earlier, like that would have felt so contrived. But instead, it just feels earned in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just goes to show like these movies are so well constructed.
Yeah. A lot of detail in the writing.
Yeah, because even like how they got home from the airport was just like a quick little sight gag.
Yeah.
But they
Like
didn't
I
leave
was,
that thread hanging. They could have easily cut and nobody would have asked questions, but they were like, no, we can explore this for half a second.
yeah. Like I said, there's a lot of good visual comedy in this film.
Oh yeah, a lot of good just detail in general. Like in the toy barn, this was something I really liked when I saw it. Was just a bunch of like stuff was just lying around on the floor like it hadn't been picked up or whatever.
Hmm.
And like that is very true of like any retail place. Like not everything's going to be perfectly in its place, especially
Hmm.
right as the day starts. Like there's going to be junk everywhere, people just putting random stuff wherever.
That is true.
And I really appreciate that they like took the time to think through these environments because they could have easily not done that. Like it was more work to do it the way they did. And speaking of more work, the behind the scenes.
Yep.
I know you've been waiting to talk about this.
Yeah. 'Cause I think it's interesting. So they started production after the first one, obviously. After the success of the first one. And this is right after a month after the first film opened in December of 95. It was going to be one of those good old direct-to-video sequels
Yeah,
originally.
that was the initial plan because they just still weren't confident in it, I guess, or were they just not sure CG as a medium would last in theaters?
Yeah. Well, it was initially just wanted to be like Disney wanted to be a cash grab on their part because the Return of Jafar, the Aladdin sequel, which didn't have Robin Williams, did really well on VHS. So they wanted to make another one. I think the initial idea was to do it as a a hand drawn film.
Hmm. I don't know
Oh yeah, it says here.
because we were talking about how in the first Toy Story it was just really good to have CG for this one. Like we didn't think it could be done hand drawn
Yeah,
nearly as well. I don't think a hand drawn sequel would have stood the test of time as well.
no. Well, it even
Especially,
had an original. The script was different. Obviously, there was a different draft that was going around. They were going to work with, but John Lasseter came in, didn't like it, and they retooled it because it was going to be for the direct to video version. But also, the most interesting thing about the production, which is the thing I've been waiting to talk about, is how the film almost got deleted.
yeah, they They goofed.
Good old 90s computing. So someone accidentally deleted all the files.
Big brain time.
It's big brain time. The moral of the story is always have a backup.
Absolutely. I don't understand how you're like deleting the movie and you don't stop and think, maybe not.
Yeah. I
Is
think it was Jeffrey Katzenberg. I think.
it Jeffrey Katzenberg just broke onto the left? This is what you get for showing up ants.
Yeah. He got his revenge.
Except he didn't because they had it saved, thankfully.
Yep. Katzenberg 0, Pixar 1.
It's Katzenberg 0, Pixar a billion at this point.
Yeah. So yeah, the production of this film was fascinating. They were early on in development. So this is interesting. The concept of Woody as a collectible set came from the draft story of a Tin Toy Christmas. Originally, there was going to be it's a Toy Story, a Christmas special about Tin Toy. Before Pixar was given the ability to make a fully fledged animated film, they were going to make a Christmas special originally with our little Tin Toy man.
I would have been interested to see that just to see how much different a new Tin Toy would have looked versus the '88 version.
Yeah, it was going to be like in '92 or something. And computer animation was such a big deal back then. Like it was like a novelty.
Oh yeah, it's hard to believe considering it's so ubiquitous nowadays.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean, literally every animated film in theaters now aimed at children is CG because apparently they don't have the patience to watch a traditional animated film.
or any other type. Like, it breaks my heart, but like, look how badly Missing Link bombed earlier this year.
I know you're a Missing Link stan. I need to watch that.
It is my favorite Leica movie, and I'm gonna get flack for that because everybody else thinks it's boring, but I love it.
I need to watch it because I think it looks cool. Anyway, back to our movie at hand. We're going to talk about
Yeah, this isn't a Leica podcast.
yeah, the Roundup merch you were talking about.
Yes, so like there was a lot of cool stuff up there,
Yeah,
and I really like the attention to detail on the hand drawn look of like all the cutouts and all that.
yeah,
But the snake in my boot uh, was
yeah.
I found that to be the most charming.
Yeah. I personally like the record player.
Oh yeah, the record player was great. Uh, Man, Woody's Roundup. So were there like old kid shows that were like puppet based?
Oh, there were, yeah.
Okay, so like how long ago would those have been? Because that would give us like an estimate of how old Woody is supposed to be.
Those were like in the 50s.
Okay, so yeah, that's right. They mentioned like Sputnik happened and
Yeah.
then stuff.
I mean, cowboys were a huge deal in the 40s and 50s. There were
Oh
so
yeah.
many Western shows and movies and
I
puppet shows aimed at children.
Westerns back then were the superheroes of today.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they chose that particular era just because Woody's original design was that of like a ventriloquist dummy puppet type thing.
Yeah.
It's like just like a little reference to that, as opposed to like a cheap '80s cartoon.
Yeah. I think he definitely fits more the classic Americana sort of puppetry. Yeah,
Yeah.
it says here that secondary characters in Woody's set were inspired by 40s, 50s Western and puppet shows for children, such as Four Feather Falls, Hopalong Cassidy, and Howdy Doody. And those are puppet shows, marionettes.
Yeah. All right. So for this movie, um, this is the first time. Well, not the first time, but the first Toy Story to not be solo directed by John Lasseter.
That's right.
And I meant to talk about this a little bit earlier, but there were two other guys who have credits. One of them everybody knows. It's Lee Unkrich.
Indeed, he went on to direct the third film.
Yep, and he was. I think we mentioned him like in one of the other episodes, but he was like their editor basically.
Yeah,
And I guess his contributions for this film were just much greater than the last because he got bumped up to a directing or co-directing credit. And I mean, thank goodness he did because I didn't want Pixar without Lee Unkrich, honestly.
yeah,
Because he co-directed Finding Nemo and Monsters Inc. right after this. Like he was helping Pete Docter and Andrew Stanton get their feet on the ground.
yeah. He's a solid talent.
And there was one other co-director who deserves mention because he never went on to do anything as important as Toy Story 2.
Yeah,
Ash Brannon, I think was his name.
yeah. That's it. I'm fact checking as we speak.
You mean Randall's fact check?
Yeah, Randall's fact checking. Yes.
Randall. So Ash Brannon went on to direct the best penguin surfing movie of all time, Surf's Up.
I think that's the only penguin surfing movie.
By default, the best then.
Indeed.
And then the 2016 film Rock Dog.
The what?
Have you not heard of Rock Dog?
No.
Then don't watch Rock Dog.
All right.
I'm sorry for ever introducing that movie to your life.
That thought in my mind.
Yeah, but that's basically what he did. He didn't stick around at Pixar for whatever reason. And he didn't even go over to DreamWorks with Katzenberg or anything.
Interesting.
It's like Surf's Up was a Sony animation, I think.
Yeah, there was.
And then Rock Dog was like this Chinese co-production.
Huh.
And I just kind of wonder why.
Yeah, why wouldn't you want to stick there?
Yeah, like maybe back in 1999, it wasn't such a sure thing that Pixar would be as big as they got. But like still, they were doing really successful, and like he probably would have been able to direct his own feature there in a couple of years had he just stuck around. It just makes me wonder.
Yeah. So there were tons and tons of other production things. They're running on such a tight schedule to get it out. Employees developed carpal tunnel syndrome.
Oh,
from animating. John Lasseter was like exhausted by the end.
I can imagine because he didn't jump right into his next project. He waited a good couple years.
Yeah. An animator forgot to drop his kid off at daycare.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, the production, the strain of production on this film really took a toll. I mean, it paid off because it's good.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Pixar employees, for carpal tunneling your way into a Toy Story 2.
Yeah, I hope those animators got like a nice break, a vacation.
Oh, I hope so too. Unless they were forced to jump right into Monsters Inc. or Nemo after this.
Yeah.
Animation is such like a thankless job, and
it is.
And I'm sure Pixar treats their animators better than most because, I mean, they like give them their own short film projects to work on. They like let them like work their way up because a lot of their directors now are people who were animators probably around right now in Pixar's history, right around Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
That makes me wonder if Dan Scanlon was the guy who forgot to drop off his kid.
Yeah. Oh no.
Onward is just the story of Dan Scanlon getting to pick up his kid.
Yeah.
That's why their dad's missing.
Yep.
Oh man. Speaking of missing dads, even though they had the character models now, they still didn't give Andy a dad.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a conscious choice this time around, or were they like?
I'm pretty sure.
Because I mean, they could have just said like he was at work pretty much all the time during the last film or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when the Chicken Man tries to steal Woody, Andy's mom's like, "Oh, it's a family. He's a family heirloom."
Yeah, that makes me wonder if it's from his mom's side or his dad's side.
I think John Lasseter said once that Woody first belonged to Andy's dad. I think. I feel like I remember reading that somewhere.
Okay. I mean, I buy it.
Yeah. Especially if he's from the 50s.
Yeah, he would have probably belonged to like Andy's granddad.
Yeah. Well, if you consider this probably takes place around 1999, the technology looks decidedly 90s.
It does.
If I'm not mistaken, there's a clamshell cell phone.
I think there is, yeah. And airport security is very lax as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trademark of the 90s.
Yeah. Like a
Speaking of,
Seinfeld episode.
speaking of the airport finale, we like didn't mention that at all when
Oh,
we were
that's right. Yeah.
on the plot. What are your thoughts on it? I'm curious.
I thought it was cool. I thought it reminded me a bit of the door vault in Monsters Inc.
Yeah, and maybe Pete Docter cribbed a little bit from this movie for that.
Yeah. Pixar loves their big set piece finales.
Yeah, if I'm being honest though, it was probably the weakest part of the movie for me.
Yeah. If it were longer.
I don't even know if being longer would help. I feel like because like it does a really good job of just like constantly making the situation more and more, hopeless in a way.
Yeah.
Like the airplane door slamming on Woody and Jesse right as they're about to jump out was like, oh,
Yeah. Oh.
oh. But like we were getting to the end of the movie and I was like, oh, I don't remember how this ends. And
Yeah, I just remember they got out of it.
yeah, like I kind of forgotten this whole section of the movie, and not that it's forgettable. I think it's just not as strong as what came before.
You're correct. I
And
mean, it's neat. I like the idea of it.
yeah, what I was hoping, and what they kind of tried to do was like, the last episode of Woody's Roundup where they make that huge jump, and they
Yeah.
don't think they made it. They kind of tried to bring that back with Jesse letting go of the landing gear. Uh, I feel like making it a more direct parallel of the jump would have been better. Like if they had to make like a massive jump,
Yeah.
maybe that would have stuck out in my mind a little bit better. And like at an airport, there's no way you could really do that well, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that would have just been the icing on the cake for the movie. It's still amazing without it.
Yeah. And the ending, it's a trope that DreamWorks would later go on to like just use all the time. The ending dance party where all the characters are having a good time, with music.
I mean, I feel you.
It
But
works here. It works here way more than
yeah,
Shark Tale.
it does. Because, I mean, how could we have lived if we didn't get to see the iconic character Wheezy singing?
A jazz standard big band version of "You Got a Friend in Me,"
Yeah. I
which
mean,
sounds great. It's a great version of the song.
oh, yeah. It's just like, oh, of course it was Wheezy, everybody's favorite character.
Everyone's favorite. I think he's a good character, even though they didn't do anything with him after this film.
Does he even? I don't think he appears in Toy Story 3 or 4.
He doesn't. He's one of the ones they're like that's like explicitly mentioned to have been given away.
Yeah. I kind of feel like maybe we could have had another film in between 2 and 3 to really have some more time with the other characters around Andy's room.
There's something we're going to
Yeah.
talk about that takes place between 2 and 3.
Okay, so you're gonna have to take the bulk of this one because I know.
I'm going to sound like an insane person.
Please, please enlighten me on Kingdom Hearts 3's Toy Story World.
Yeah. Yeah. When do you want to get to that? You want to do that now?
I mean, I think I have one or two other things to say about this movie because
Yeah.
I feel like we're in a similar situation we were with the first Toy Story, where it's just so good that
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of like. Whereas in Bug's Life, it was more contested. We had more to say about it.
yeah. Which means, of course, naturally, the Cars 2 episode is going to be our longest.
No, Cars 2 is going to be our Infinity War. Like, we're going to have everyone on to talk about it.
Absolutely. By the way, if you're just listening to this podcast for whatever reason,
You somehow stumbled onto it.
Yeah, we're going to have guests soon.
Yeah, we are. Wait, next week, right?
Yeah, I think our first guest will be for the Monsters, Inc. episode.
Nice. It's going to be our Halloween spooktacular.
Woo, woo.
Okay. Or laugh-tacular.
But just getting back to this movie, I feel like we could talk a bit more about Jessie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we were talking last week, Pixar didn't really have a lot of strong female characters. And part of that is just like they don't have a lot of female voices in the creative space there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the first time a woman really had like a major credit on one of their films was probably Brave with Brenda Chapman.
Yeah, and she got fired.
Yeah, she did.
Oof. We're going to talk about Brave later.
Yes. But like you said, it was John Lasseter's wife who was really pushing for Jessie, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job just because it wasn't like a big deal that she was a girl. It was just they focused on making a strong character, and the character happened to be a girl.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't like this is a strong female protagonist, and strong female protagonists are stone cold and have no emotions.
Yeah. No, Jessie is
very emotional.
Oh yeah. Like she is like when she's happy, she's really happy. When she's, sad, like it really comes through. Like, and even though she does kind of become like somebody they have to rescue in the finale, I don't think it's nearly a damsel in distress type of moment.
No, she's got like trapped.
Yeah, it was really just more like the unfortunate circumstances of the environment meant they had to go save her.
Yeah, well, all the Toy Story films are essentially rescue missions in some way.
Pretty much. The first one, not really.
Well, they had to save Buzz from being blown up, so.
Yeah, but that was like in the last bit.
Yeah. In general, I just like it when movies have like the hatching a plot kind of, heist sort of thing.
Yeah, and they kind of do that here where they're like breaking into the office building to get way back.
I love seeing each, character doing like their own role in the rescue mission.
Yeah, like Slinky when he had to rappel everyone down.
Yeah. The elevator scene is timeless.
I'm going to let go of the wall.
Comedy gold.
Also,
so yeah.
I just remember when we were talking about the Slinky rappel down scene, we had another memeing of the line. 2X Toy Barn and beyond.
There we are.
Yeah, do they meme this line like as much as possible?
Probably.
Is there a version of it in Monsters Inc. maybe? I can't remember off the top of.
I don't think so. I would know because I was watching it night before last when I was really sick. I was trying to get ahead of the schedule.
Yeah, well, good on you. I still need to rewatch it.
Yeah.
I've just been trying to keep Toy Story 2 in my head so we can talk about it because we had to delay this one.
That's right.
Oh man. Yeah, with the whole planning the heist thing, like I kind of wonder how much of that did we really get with this one compared to like three? Because I think three really does have more.
But it's a full-on like Prison Break.
Yeah, in that one. Like I don't know if like Ham really had like any big role to play. I think he was just brought along for fun.
Yeah, he's a funny character. He's got well, his coins fall out a few times.
Yeah. Yeah, Andy just lost $6.
He did. Poor kid.
He's gonna get home. He's gonna like see his empty piggy bank, and it's just gonna be a case of him thinking his mom like raided his money to buy him new toys.
Maybe. Oh yeah, he does have new toys show up at the end, and just assumes his mom bought them.
Yeah, I mean, where does she think they came from? To be honest,
I don't know.
but like,
Yeah,
I can imagine why he thought that because like there's that set up in his room, like "Welcome back, Andy."
yeah,
And I think he probably just assumed his mom like set that up,
yeah,
and she probably never would have seen it because he would have taken it down like to get his toys.
yeah. That's a detail.
Yep. Uh,
Imagine if we were like
sorry, go ahead.
a certain YouTube channel that nitpicks everything and just has no joy in enjoying films. Imagine if we were like that.
Uh,
Ding.
how does nobody notice that this is not the real Buzz Lightyear? Ding!
I'm afraid that's if I go watch his video on this film, I'm afraid that'll be one of them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. Buzz is put in a box in one scene, and then the next scene, he somehow manages to break out all on his own? Ding!
Ding. One
Uh,
little detail I really like is the lighting in a lot of the scenes,
oh, yeah. A lot.
particularly when Buzz goes down the Buzz Lightyear aisle. It's all blue. I think that just looks cool.
Yeah, and in the elevator, there's a lot of like, good coloring in there.
Yeah,
I mean, film-wise, like this film really steps up from previous ones because you have like that crazy dolly zoom almost in the dream sequence.
yeah,
And you also just get like there's a lot of depth of field and focus racking in this film.
yeah.
Like I think they probably just figured out how to do that, and they were like, "Let's do it everywhere."
They wanted to show it off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was ever like distracting, but I definitely noticed it when it was happening compared to like in A Bug's Life, where there were a few depth of field shots, but they never like focused or shifted between focuses.
Yeah. I think that's a testament to what Pixar does. Every film they try to be a little better in terms of technology. I mean, even Cars 2 looks nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think like if there was like anything super impressive about Cars 2, but
No.
I think at that point like their visuals were just they just reached a point where they're pretty good, and any improvements are going to be kind of minor.
Yeah. But yeah, so we talked about the characters, the plot, and the development.
I think we gotta. I think you gotta educate us all on.
Oh dear. Okay. Yeah, we're about an hour in, so I feel like we're making pretty good time. So after the events of this film, an undisclosed amount of time in the canon, the lore, in Andy's room, there appears mysterious creatures led by a man in a black hood, and half the toys disappear because of this, leaving just a handful left to survive and wait for. And Andy and his mom and little sister disappear as well.
Oh no.
Yeah. This is canon, by the way. um,
Sure, they just didn't go to a all-family cowboy camp.
maybe. I'll get there in a minute. Um, so leaving only a small little set there until three mysterious visitors appear. One being a spiky-haired anime boy, a dog, and a duck who doesn't wear pants.
So most ducks.
Most ducks. I've not seen any pants-wearing ducks recently. And so they appear in Andy's room, and they're like, "What are we doing here? What is this place? Why are we so small?" And they encounter the creatures that showed up, called the Heartless. Everyone knows what those are.
Yeah.
This is I'm going to start sounding real insane.
You're gonna start.
Yeah, it only goes downhill from here. So Sora, Donald, and Goofy work with Woody and Buzz and the other toys to go down to Galaxy Toys, which is the new toy store in town. I assume after Al went out of business, they made Galaxy Toys.
You mean the Chicken Man?
The chicken. Oh, I said it. I'm cursed now. It's like saying Macbeth when you're in a production of Macbeth. The Chicken Man. Anyway, so in order to find their missing friends, they go into Galaxy Toys, where Sarge and the army troops notice that the Black Hood man, the man, the Black Hood, and so they go down there, and a time traveling young version of the main antagonist, Xehanort, shows up and says they split the world in two, with one half being where the toys are, and the other one being where all the missing ones are. And yeah. Oh, and also the interference of magic in the world has allowed Buzz's laser to actually work and be a real laser. Because they need to have a cool combat mechanic for Buzz to be in your party instead of just him hitting things.
He can karate chop.
He can, but he has a real laser this time around. But yeah, so while Buzz is suspicious of Sora, Donald, and Goofy, being afraid that they're with the intruders, as they're called, as they call the Heartless, the intruders, Woody's so desperate to get the other toys and Andy back that he ends up trusting Sora, Donald, and Goofy, who are dedicated to helping them out and stopping Xehanort's interference with everything going on. Oh, and also, we get to find out that Rex is kind of a weeb, which is amazing.
What?
Yeah, it makes actually really good sense. So when Sora shows up, yeah.
I'm just trying to process Rex watching like Neon Genesis Evangelion.
That's basically what it is. Because, well, okay, so when you land on the world, it begins with a commercial for a game within a game. The first cutscene is a trailer for Verum Rex, meaning true king in Latin. And it's this really anime video game about fighting giant mechs. And yeah, Rex mistakes Sora for Yozora, who's the protagonist of the game. There's even a great line where Sora's having to explain to Woody and Buzz what's going on, and Buzz is like, "You're not making any sense." That's right, you're from a video game. And it's just like there's so many levels of meta going on. Anyway, they continue their journey through Galaxy Toys, where Xehanort is trying to figure out how hearts work in inanimate objects. Because in the Kingdom Hearts lore, every being has a heart. Uh, but if you don't have one, if you become a nobody or a lifeless replica clone, if you act human, you develop a heart. So that's kind of inferred how the toys can come to life because the hearts grow based on people's connections. The reason why the toys have hearts is because their connection to
It's
Andy.
expanding the lore.
It's expanding the lore, and it is canon. Need I remind you? Anyway, as they go through Galaxy Toys, they fight a bunch of heartless, corrupted toys in there. Buzz is afraid that he'll get taken over by the heartless as well, and he does eventually. He gets possessed by a heartless and tries to attack the others, while Sora is thrown into the video game Verum Rex, where he fights all the giant mech things. They still think Sora is Yozora. Yeah, they go through and they find out that Xehanort has split the world in two, and due to the toy's connection to Andy and to the others, they overcome Xehanort, and Buzz gets turned back to normal, and the story goes on.
Okay.
None of that made sense because it
No.
doesn't. I'm gonna have to send you like the cutscene compilation for you just to watch.
Oh my gosh. You said so much stuff after it, but I'm still hung up on Rex as a weeb.
He is. He plays. But doesn't that make sense though? Doesn't that not surprise you in any way?
No, I think I'm mostly shocked by how much sense it makes and the fact that I never considered it a possibility.
Yeah. Yeah, he plays an anime RPG game.
Wow, so that's how Toy Story factors into Kingdom Hearts.
Yep.
No.
Oh, and also the character of Yozora, who's the main character of the game in the Toy Story world, is now may or may not be like a real character in the Kingdom Hearts universe.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all we know. And we'll talk about when we get to Monsters Inc. We'll talk about that world because that is canon as well.
Oh no. I'm gonna have to endure 2 weeks of this.
Yep. Well, those are the only two Pixar worlds that show up. Remy from Ratatouille is in the game as well, but he shows up in the cooking mini game.
Oh man.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I missed in there. I just gave you the summary. It's insane. It's weird, but it actually makes sense.
Yeah. I do like how they have you said they have like the first cutscene was actually a game within the actual, because the Toy Story movies do that a lot, like Toy Story 2, this one.
It begins with a video game.
Yeah. It's like it's all hyper dramatized, but it's just like an active play. And Toy Story 3 has like Andy's imaginary world coming to life.
Yeah. Probably my favorite opening of any of the films. Of any Pixar film aside from Up, really. It's cool. I like it.
I mean, it's unfair to include Up.
Yeah.
We have to put Up on a pedestal.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
What else is there to say?
I'm thinking like there might be some more words to be had. I kind of wish they had taken Buster with them to help get to Al's Toy Barn.
Yeah, that would have been funny.
I would have liked more moments with Buster before he became super old. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like how Woody has just basically been training Buster on the side because Andy can't.
Yeah.
Do you think they initially tried to freeze in front of Buster and then they just kind of couldn't handle it anymore?
That's a theory. That's interesting. I'd never thought about that. I think maybe.
Because like it wouldn't surprise me if like they generally wouldn't want to do that, because if they like make the dog afraid of them or whatever, then anytime they have to be frozen, in the same area as the dog. Like the dog is just gonna be barking at them like crazy.
Yeah. My dog barks whenever the UPS guy comes.
Well, the
Or
UPS is actually alive.
yeah,
I mean, he's dead inside, but he's alive somehow.
somehow.
He's heartless.
Oh no, what have I done? And I do think it's really neat how the lore ties into Kingdom Hearts and vice versa. It might not make any sense, but it works.
Yeah.
They even do more of it in Monsters Inc., which I'm even more excited to talk about.
You say these are canon. They don't feel canon to me. Like, who was it who declared that the Kingdom Hearts stuff was canon to Toy Story?
I think Pixar did.
Like, who at Pixar? Like, was it John Lasseter? Was it Leon?
Well, Tetsuya Nomura, the creator and director of the Kingdom Hearts series, personally met with John Lasseter to negotiate what he could and couldn't do with Toy Story Monsters Inc. So I get the feeling like and they also worked really closely with like several higher ups at Pixar to get it right.
But you understand what this means, don't you?
What does it mean?
John Lasseter approved Weeb Rex.
Yep.
Gosh darn it, Lasseter, you had to do one more thing before you left.
Weeb Rex is the funniest thing in the world. He's a gamer boy.
Rex, get in the robot.
It makes it even better because there are mechs. Oh, and you get to play as Sora piloting the mechs, which is great.
Oh my gosh. Who do you think Rex's favorite JoJo is?
I don't know. I think he's a Josuke man.
He would like Josuke.
He would. I don't think he'd be a Giorno fan.
Nah. I think it would have to be Josuke or young Joseph.
Yeah.
You know what? He might like Jotaro. He might like, the whole, ooh, I can be intimidating like Jotaro thing.
Oh, he totally would, wouldn't he? Man, anime
has taken a turn, and I love it.
Yeah, anime was a mistake.
Quote by Hayao Miyazaki.
Yep. Something that is kind of interesting though, in Andy's room, there's a clock with Mickey Mouse on it. Wonder how that got there. Mickey is
Walt Disney was funding this movie or anything.
Oh no, I'm saying in Kingdom Hearts, the clock is still there. It still has Mickey Mouse on it, despite Mickey being like a very prominent character in the series.
So this means that Donald and Goofy should have been recognized by the toys, maybe? Because you think Disney toys would be popular, like
yeah. Well, Rex thinks they're part of the video game.
Well, Rex is a weeb, so his brain is compromised.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like there's no way, like unlike Woody's Roundup, which is like an old show that's just forgotten, so it makes sense that Woody's forgotten it too. Like Disney toys should like know that they're Disney.
Yeah.
I think the Barbie toys in this one like understood what they were really.
Yeah.
Like tour guide Barbie really embodied that aspect. She had a great line. I don't know if you caught this. When she was like going down the Buzz Lightyear aisle, she was like,
yeah.
1995, they didn't order enough of these toys because they had no idea how successful it would be. And like, you know what that's really about.
Absolutely. I see what they did there. There's one thing I was about to say, but I forgot what it was.
Well,
so we could talk about, since we're doing these and, we're talking about like the chronological timeline order, we could talk about the Buzz Lightyear animated series.
Yeah, you brought that up, and I still haven't checked out any of it, so I'm curious.
Yeah, so it doesn't do much for the Toy Story lore. The film just begins with all the toys sitting down watching the tape. Rex, of course, freaks out of excitement. I think he thinks it's an anime. And yeah, the Buzz Lightyear animated series is really good. I think it's great. It shows what Buzz is from. It's like an 80s or 90s cartoon show.
And the little alien toys make a cameo, right?
Oh, they don't just cameo; they're a big part.
Yeah, because
They just kind of showed back up in this movie. And
They did, yeah.
I don't know if they were really needed. They were kind of funny, but their joke got a bit old by the end.
Yeah,
I do like how Mrs. Potato Head just adopts them.
yeah. Which carries on to 3.
Yeah, and they have an important role in 3, so I'm not like bitter about it or anything.
Yeah.
It's the one instance in this movie where it feels like, oh, this thing was popular in the last one. We have to bring it back.
Yeah, as a lot of movies tend to do. I mean, they've become more or less like the mascot of the series.
Yeah,
Not on like a Minion level, but
not nearly. Wait, are these things like Minion?
proto Minions.
Like, would you consider them in that vein?
No, not really.
Because I mean,
A lot of like grade B.
They don't really affect the plot. They're mostly there for comedy. They have a very simple and short design, monocolor. They kind of are.
They kind of are.
Like, not nearly to the point that the slugs and flushed away are, but ooh boy, are they.
Oh, the slugs. Wow, flushed away. That's a deep cut.
Yeah. That was like DreamWorks trying to do stop motion.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
it's weird that DreamWorks has tried 2D animation, 3D animation, and stop motion, and Pixar just has stuck with CG.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what else could they do?
I mean, there have been segments where they've done like 2D animation in their films, like there's that segment in Inside Out where everybody's becoming abstract. There's the opening of Coco with the exposition.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they could branch out a little bit if they wanted to.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, now that Sony has like shown up everyone in the animation industry last year, I wouldn't be surprised if other studios try to do something new and inventive.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like I really want that from Pixar because, especially going back to these old films where each one they like found a new type of technology they can do with this, and they just got so excited they put it everywhere like that.
Dust. There's a lot of dust in this movie.
Yeah, they really nailed down like tiny particles, and like it's great to see that kind of just like excitement over these new things. But I feel like their more recent films haven't really done that as much, and I hope that we get more of that in the future.
Yeah. Like Onward looks good. It looks good, but it doesn't really stand out in terms of visuals. In fact, I don't even think I like. Huh?
We've only seen trailers though. Like I'm gonna reserve judgment for Onward till we see the full thing.
Yeah, I don't really like the character designs though.
They
look kind of ugly.
They're fine.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Tom Holland's character looks a little too much like Tom Holland.
A bit. The character design from old Pixar, like most of the toys here feel iconic still.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Onward will have that staying power 20 years from now when we're
Probably
on
not.
4, but
Yeah.
but maybe.
Who knows?
I'm just really curious to see what Soul is going to look like because that one just. Have you read the plot description for Soul?
I have. Almost kind of. Oh.
Doesn't it sound nuts?
Yeah. I like it when Pixar gets weird.
Yeah, and like this feels like it could be their weirdest film because I mean, like of these early films, like Toy Story 2 doesn't really get weird.
Yeah.
I feel like probably their weirdest one uh, in these early days, maybe Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
Maybe, but like there's nothing that's like outright what? Who came up with this idea?
Yeah. I mean, Ratatouille is such an oddball concept anyway.
Yeah, Ratatouille might be their weirdest of their earlier films. Because compared to it, like Toy Story 2 feels conventional.
Yeah.
In some respects, it is conventional, but like not in a bad way. Just
No.
I just want to see Pixar get weird now.
Yeah. I mean, Soul.
Soul has the
pretty good.
potential to it. It all depends on because like it's Pete Docter's first movie since taking over Pixar.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. He's the guy now.
the dude's won 2 Oscars. He calls all the shots. He's made a ton of money. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Like, and like Toy Story 2 definitely has his thumbprints all over it because he was one of the writers, I think, again.
Yeah. Let's get Randall to fact check that.
Randall.
Yeah, he did. He was on the story for this one.
And I think probably Andrew Stanton as well.
Yeah. Well, because he co-wrote 4, Andrew Stanton did.
Yeah, I think Pete Docter was also on 4. I think it was just a case of all the old guard of Pixar reconvened for a Toy Story.
Yeah. That's their flagship.
Yeah, and of them, Pete Docter is the only one left at Pixar now.
That's right.
Leo,
Well, Andrew Stanton.
I mean, kind of like he reconvened for Toy Story. He came back to make a sequel, but like,
He's directing TV right now. John
That's
Lasseter's completely ousted. Leon Kurtz just left. If you want to consider Brad Bird like first generation Pixar, he's also kind of gone outside of the sequel he needed to save his career.
Yeah. Brad Bird's he's more like a freelancer.
Uh, probably the most, yeah, because he had a career before this with The Simpsons and The Iron Giant, and he's had the most successful career after Pixar.
Yeah.
Successful in quotation marks because of Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, he really only worked on his own films because he doesn't have any credits on this one really. I think he pretty much came in, did Incredibles, and then immediately jumped to Ratatouille and wasn't really working on anything else.
Yeah. I really want to see Brad Bird do some more live action.
He's working on a musical right now.
He is? How did I not hear about that?
You did not know that? Okay.
Last I heard, he was like on the short list for directing the Fantastic Four reboot.
Oh no, he definitely said no to that on Twitter.
Why? That would have been good.
He doesn't want to do it. He wants to do his musical, and he really wants to do 1906.
Oh yeah, that's been in the pipeline.
Oh, we were talking about Pixar being weird. 1906 would have been weird.
Yeah.
Like half live action, half animation.
Yeah.
I wish that had happened. Because I don't know. She tried to bring this back to Toy Story 2. Like, they weren't really focusing on live action at all as an element for their films. Like, they weren't even trying to mimic live action until much later.
Yeah. Well, Wall-E is the only one to ever use live action in some capacity.
Yeah, and like, I remember with Finding Nemo, they originally made like the ocean water too realistic, and they had to pull it back because they didn't want to look live action there.
Yeah.
I guess they changed their mind for The Good Dinosaur, but otherwise,
it's almost like animation is a special art form that doesn't need to replicate real life. too closely. What are we talking about?
Toy Story 2 in real life would not work.
Yeah. With like stop motion figures.
Even then, I don't think it would be nearly as good. Like,
Yeah, it's almost like animation serves its own purpose, and that animation doesn't have to be realistic. I wonder if Disney could learn from that.
maybe. But like there are so many expressions here that like are really just big and bold, and like you don't really stop motion can't do too much expressions because you have to individually make each one of the faces.
Stop motion is a pain.
Oh yeah, but so it would be really hard to do like when Woody's freaking out about when his arm gets cut off.
Yeah.
I don't think that scene would work in stop motion at all. I don't think most of Jesse's expressions probably wouldn't work. Bullseye probably wouldn't work.
Yeah. Thank goodness for animation.
Probably get the Prospector to work because like he's the most subdued face out of all of them. I feel. Yeah. Oh, since we're nearing the end of this, I assume because we're talking about things that aren't Toy Story 2 so much.
Yeah, we're an hour and 22 minutes in.
Yeah. So that Prospector blooper.
Oh, that one.
Let's just cut right all the way to the end of the movie and end it here on this note. Oh boy, that does not. It's like I have a feeling the Prospector, Lotso, Mr. Waternoose, a lot of those guys were based on John Lasseter.
Ernesto de la Cruz, especially. Stealing credit, from what I've heard.
So to have that scene of the Prospector being like stereotypical sleazy Hollywood producer type.
Yeah.
Like I have a feeling Lasseter wasn't the one to make that joke. I have a feeling that was Lee Unkrich or Ash Brannon who snuck that in there.
Yeah.
Or Doctor or Stanton. Somebody.
When I was a kid, I didn't really get what that was going for, but
yeah. One of those instances of adult humor in kids' media.
Yep. That's definitely not uncomfortable to talk about these days.
Yeah, that blooper has aged the most poorly out of anything else in this movie.
Yeah. Well, they removed it from like the recent Blu-ray release, and when it comes to Disney Plus.
Understandable. I feel like they shouldn't do stuff like that because it is kind of just like pretending it never happened.
Sorry about the South.
Fantasia.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've seen this go around on like releases of old Looney Tunes. You've probably seen it as well, where it says like, this contains stereotypes and inappropriate humor of the day. It was wrong then, it's wrong now. It's better than to pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah. I feel like for Toy Story 2, they wouldn't need that disclaimer just because that blooper's there.
Yeah.
As a blooper at the credits.
Yeah.
Like,
and those Looney Tunes are more like racist stereotypes.
Yeah. I don't know what the solution would be because I feel like cutting it out is a bad idea. I feel like leaving it in is a little. I don't know.
Either way, it's there and it happened.
But hey, you know what? At least the worst part of this movie was all the way at the very, very end after everything else was done.
Yep, because this is a good movie, a really good movie.
Oh yeah, I wasn't kidding last week when I said it's one of the best Pixar movies.
Yeah, maybe up there in the top 5.
After Onward comes out, we may have to rank them as stupid and lizard brainy as that decision is.
Yeah, I personally like 3 the best, but
Well, we'll have to see if 3 dethrones it for me when we get to it.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm thinking 2 is my favorite, even though I haven't seen 4.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've said all we can say. We are literally almost at the running time of Toy Story 2 for talking about Toy Story 2.
Yes, we are.
Which, hey, impressive. We're getting better at talking about these movies.
We are. And next week we'll have a guest when we talk about Monsters Inc.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
It will be.
All right. Well, see ya. I've been
See
Dan.
ya. And I've been Jaron.
And this has been To Infinity and Beyond.
A Pixar podcast.